Now at last Mrs. Pumphrey, she comes to doctor's clinic, that means James Herriot clinic. As soon as Tricky he finds his master or Mrs. Pumphrey, you can say mistress, Mrs. Pumphrey, he jumped upon her and he started licking. You know, the dogs, they do lick. He started licking her with joy and happiness. Tricky was overwhelmed with joy, and simultaneously Mrs. Pumphrey also, to get her pet back hale and hearty, to see Tricky fit and fine. So this is the time of depart from the doctor's clinic. So when Tricky was discharged, Mrs. Pumphrey, she thanked the doctor, thanked the author. She told him that it is really a triumph of surgery. Why she mentioned these words? Because triumph of surgery, because she was telling that the treatment, whatever the doctor he has done with Tricky, it was not less than a surgery, because she could not expect that Tricky would survive. Tricky's condition was so fatal. She was telling that his condition was so fatal that I could not expect that Tricky would survive, and it was beyond my expectation. And today, really, I am very much thankful to you that it is a triumph of surgery. This story, it is blended with humor and wit. It is the real story, that means an autobiographical story of James Herriot. The story is blended with humor and wit. Why I am saying that there are some lines, those are very humorous. Those lines are, you can find your textbook, but the synopsis I have told you. Some lines are there, as if when Tricky he was hospitalized, Mrs. Pumphrey, when she came to know, because the doctor or the author, he used to call her regularly, or Mrs. Pumphrey used to call him regularly, and the feedback the doctor used to give her. In the meantime, when she came to know that Tricky is improving, and he has improved a lot, and he is taking his diet properly, now he is having his appetite, then she started sending eggs, wine, brandy for Tricky to the clinic. But being a veterinary doctor, he thought, right now these things or these eatables are not suitable for Tricky. So that is why the doctor and his partner, they used to enjoy those eatables sent by Mrs. Pumphrey. Eggs, wine, brandy, those things they used to enjoy. The doctor, that means James Herriot, and his partner. So these lines are also mentioned in your textbook, that those are filled with humor and wit. So guys, this is an autobiographical short story of James Herriot, and James Herriot, being a veterinary doctor, he has presented his own experience through the lines of the story. So this is quite a rational story. This is not a fairy tale or supernatural story. This is a rational story or based on realism, and of course the autobiographical story, the experience of the author. So guys, I guess that you have understood the synopsis of the story. There are 3 characters in the story. The doctor, veterinary doctor, that is the author himself, James Herriot. Mrs. Pumphrey, a wealthy single woman, and Tricky, her pet. Pet means pet dog. So now students,